Okay, so this is, I'm doing another demo for ceramics. This is for ceramics 2. Welcome to Burton Studio. So what I want to do today is show you guys how to make a plaster mold cast in an object. So your homework assignment is to find an object that you can cast. Now, of course, being down here at the seashore, we got lots of shells and stuff like that. Obviously, this is not from here, but some other ones are. I've done lots of the shells over the years. So for example, this is one that I have made in the past. And you can see here, that was just basically a cat's eye, also known as a moon shell. And so this is what we're gonna do today. The thing to know is that what we do is we make a box, and you can see I've already made one here. I made sure I taped all the holes and things like that, and I cut it down to fit the object. I'm going to use this shell for today's object. But what you can see here is I did this one probably first, and I put the shell, submerged it halfway in, and you got to hold it down because it might buoy up. So you got to hold it down until it doesn't take long, like maybe a couple minutes. It takes about 20 minutes for the whole thing to cure. In the meantime, and then after it's cured a little bit, I'll take a tool and I'll carve out a couple of holes, and those are for keys, so that when you pour the second layer in, it'll fill in, and then this way you have a match, and this way it's easier to fit. You know how it works. Now, obviously, this is like the negative of that object. But sometimes it's hard to see if it's like you got a perfect square going on. These are some other things where I've made, but in this case here, it's just a slump mold. It's not a press mold where you can put the clay in there and squeeze it through. It's something that I've used a lot. Here's another little one that I've used. It's a mussel shell. So it's something I use in my own work. So today what I wanted to do is make a mold of this shell. Now, because of the hole that's in there, I had to fill it with clay. If you don't fill it with clay, obviously it's going to fill it with plaster, and you're not going to be able to remove it, extract it from the plaster. And then the other thing is I have to be very conscious of the type of object I use, because if I use one that won't pop out easily, such as this shell, for example, there's lots of these things floating around in here where if I stuck it halfway in, it would get jammed in there because these things would hook in there and I wouldn't be able to pull it out. So this is not a good example. Beautiful shell, I'd love to have it, but it ended up destroying the object. And so that's the thing, you want to be able to not worry about the object. So an example would be, like a golf ball, for example, that could be used, it's perfectly round, and you could submerge it halfway, let it dry, and you could pour it in there and then eventually pop it out, and it should come out easily. One of the things that we do to make it a little easier to extract from the plaster is we use nonstick spray. All right, so that's PAM or anything that you can use is good, and this way it helps it pull out easier. All right, so I made a box. I wanted to make sure that it would fit, the object, so it's going to go in there. I probably could have made it a little bit smaller, but it's like one of those things where I want to be able to show you guys what I'm doing. I have some water here, and I got some extra over here just in case. I want to be able to fill this halfway up, and now sometimes it's hard for me to judge how much I should put in there. I'm thinking once I put some plaster in here, it's going to maybe fill up. I'll probably have more than I need, so I'm going to dump a little out actually. Okay, so this in here in the green bucket, I have pottery plaster. All right, and it's bad news. You don't want it mixed in with your clay, so it's really important you keep it separate from everything else you're using. And I'm basically going to use this cup to scoop it out. And the way this works is basically you just sort of sprinkle it in the water, and you got to sort of let it spread out, and you can't just dump it in there. You have to sort of shake it in there. And what ends up happening over time, you see how it slowly sinks below the surface? And eventually the plaster won't sink in there. See how it sinks down? What you're looking for is where there's so much plaster in there that it no longer sinks. So you create like a little bit of an island. You can see here it's starting to slow down a little bit. Now it's still a little runny. I want to add some more in there. See how it's thickening up. Put a little more in there. I think that's about it. You want it to blend smoothly.
Doesn't matter about the bubbles.
Well, it will, but I'll show you how to get rid of those. For right now, it doesn't matter. I want a little bit thicker. That's looking pretty good. So this is going to start hardening soon. And what's funny is it'll warm up. It'll actually get warm. Alright, so at this point I'm going to pour it in here. That's pretty good. Just going to wash my hands real quick. Alright, so at this point what we're going to do is tap it, and that's going to get rid of those bubbles are going to come up to the top. Alright, so anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Alright, so I'm going to spray my shell. Nice and buttery. So I'm going to do this side first. Alright, I'm just going to try to get it as much to the center as I can. And I'm going to let it sit right there, okay? So at this point I'm going to let it sit. And I want to make sure like the point is below the top of the box, so I should be good to go. And it's already starting to harden. All right, and so what I'm going to do is then come back like 10, 20, 15 minutes later. All right, thanks.